Hello listeners, this is the reading of the Sabbath School lesson for the fourth and final quarter of 2022.
The series is titled On Death, Dying and the Future Hope. The author is Dr. Alberto Tim, while your readers are Percy and Sibylla Harrold. Lesson 2 is ready for teaching on October 8. It's titled Death in a Sinful World, and I'm Percy Harrold. Friday, October 7. In recent years, studies have been done on what are called near-death experiences, NDEs. What happens is that people die in that their hearts stop beating and they stop breathing. However, they then come back to life, but with fantastic stories of floating into another realm of existence and meeting a being of light. Some even talk about meeting long-dead relatives. Many people, even Christians who don't understand the truth about death, believe that these stories are more proof of the immortality of the soul. However, and this should be the clearest warning that something is amiss, most who have these experiences claim that the spiritual beings whom they had met during the NDEs gave them comforting words, nice statements about love, peace, and goodness. But they hear nothing about salvation in Christ, nothing about sin, and nothing about judgment. While getting a taste of the Christian afterlife, shouldn't they have gotten at least a smidgen of the most basic Christian teachings along with it? Yet, what they're taught seems mostly like New Age dogma, which could explain why in many cases they come away less inclined toward Christianity than they were before having died. Also, why did none of the Christians, convinced that their near-death experiences were a preview of the Christian heaven, ever get any Christian theology while there, as opposed to a big dose of New Age sentimentalism? The answer is that they were being deceived by the same person who deceived Eve in Eden, and with the same lie too. We'll look at this in lesson number 11. And that brings us to our discussion questions for this week. 1. How does the experience of Adam and Eve demonstrate that God's forgiveness does not necessarily reverse all consequences of sin? Why is this such an important truth to remember always? 2. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil was the enchanted ground of the enemy for Adam and Eve. What are some enchanted grounds that we might find ourselves tempted to enter? And 3. Satan is trying to lead God's people to believe that the requirements of Christ, as we read in Testimonies to Ministers and Gospel Workers, page 474, are less strict than they once believed, and that by conformity to the world they would exert a greater influence with worldlings. What should we do in order to not fall into this subtle trap? And now for Inside Story, a mission story with Sibylla. Thank you, Sibylla.
Signs and Wonders by Dimitri Begal. While studying Isaiah in the Adult Bible Study Guide a few quarters ago, one verse particularly caught my attention. Here am I and the children whom the Lord has given me. We are for signs and wonders in Israel from the Lord of hosts, found in Isaiah chapter 8, verse 18, the New King James Version. The verse seemed to be about me. My wife and I already had a child, and we were awaiting the birth of our second. I thought, here am I and the children whom the Lord has given me. It would be great also to have signs and wonders from God. Thinking about the verse, I remembered reading about God's wonderful intercession in the lives of Adventists who, through faith alone, managed to raise significant funds for mission projects. I prayed, Lord, I also would like to make a donation. I even have a good occasion, the birth of my second child. Please give me an idea of how much I should donate, and with your help, as a sign of my gratitude for a good pregnancy and smooth birth, let me know who should get the donation. Almost immediately, I felt impressed to raise 1,000 euros, which is approximately $1,185. The amount seemed unattainable for someone with a limited income like me in Germany. I prayed, Lord, it's your goal, so you have to make sure that the money comes from somewhere. You know that my salary is insufficient to put anything aside. All I can promise is to pray daily to put aside sufficient money to make up this amount. All I can promise is to pray daily and put aside my money that I may receive in addition to my salary. Every day I prayed that the Almighty would somehow make it possible to reach the goal of the 1,000 euros. In less than a month, I already had received about half of the amount. An elderly couple unexpectedly gave me 200 euros for helping them move into their new home. Then an Adventist businessman gave me 200 euros when my wife and I, in an effort to be hospitable, put up 2 of his employees in our home for the night. And after that, a married couple transferred 50 euros unannounced to our bank account. A month before the baby was born, I already had the 1,000 euros. The birth of Maranatha Yasina was smooth and fast on May 4. I parked in front of the hospital at 8:37 a.m. and she was born 20 minutes later. The funds went to a mission project. The Lord made it possible to reach his donation goal. Blessed with my wife and 2 children, I can truly say, here am I and the children whom the Lord has given me. We are for signs and wonders in Israel from the Lord of hosts.
Thank you for supporting mission projects through the weekly Sabbath School mission offering, the 13th Sabbath offering, and the annual sacrifice offering. This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.